Good afternoon. Hello. Hello. Fantastic. Welcome to Can Next. My name is Ten Saliver. I'm the head of Can Next and the strategic advisor here at the Marché de Film. And as you know, Can Next is always about trying out new things, trying to do things different, trying to find those exciting places where technology is not the enemy of the film producer, but technology can be the best friend or the augmented of the film producer. We have a lot of exciting events coming up in Can Next today and tomorrow. Today afternoon at 4:30 here, we have a financing summit. There will be a very, very big announcement in less than 1 hour about film financing in Europe. It's going to be very, very big. And at 4:30, we're going to bring you different types of financing players, investors, but also people from new platforms, and et cetera, to talk about their experiences, how your projects can get financing other than the public financing, which you know we all is running out. But there is money around. AC Coppens there will moderate that session, so 4:30 today. Hope to see you there. But well, now we're going to try actually something quite crazy. And well, first of all, who has ever used artificial intelligence in their life? Oh, wow. Things are getting significantly better. Well, I guess then we're not talking not so many new things. But what we're going to try out today is a really, really exciting format. So it's going to be a full Shark Tank. Producers pitching their projects, and then we're getting AI insights on how those projects are. We have a great lineup of projects, but it's all made possible thanks to Largo and its amazing AI engine, and Sami, the CEO of Largo Films. Sami, you want to say a few words in the beginning?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Stan. Thank you very much for the introduction. We will have 15 amazing projects today that will be pitching. In a bit traditional way, they will have 4 minutes to pitch, but then we will see AI results for each project. The great thing about those projects, they have worked with AI tools in past 6 months or 1 year over those projects. So they got the insights from AI, they worked, maybe they changed certain parameters or reworked over the content, and optimized a bit their packaging to increase the return on investment. And today, yeah, after each pitch, we will show those AI results in 1 minute to give you a bit the idea of what type of insights you can get, and also to make you, to help you understand the potential of the films better. So yeah, looking forward to having that.
So rules again: 4 minutes for the producers, 1 minute for AI insights. The important thing for producers is that we have a timekeeper here, and the timekeeper will show you 1 minute. If you're going to do Shark Tank, 4 minutes sharp. If it's over 4 minutes, au revoir. Can Next 2023. So rules are very important. We have to keep the time. Well, for the technical team, can we put the next slide, please? Because we have a QR code to show. Tech team, can we have... Oh, Sami, can you put the next slide, please?
That's me, yeah.
Well, okay, great. So look, there's not so many sessions. You obviously see I'm nervous, right? So usually what I would basically say on a session that, well, everybody turn off your mobile phones. Well, look, what I'm now going to say is like everybody turn on their mobile phones. So take out your phones and go and scan this QR code. You should have internet on your phone, and then when you scan the QR code, you should get something like this. Yes? You're good? Yes. All right. So, you know, always time for experience. So we have an amazing platform here called Votemo, which allows you to, the audience also, to engage with the project. So you can use this platform, basically, I think many people know how Tinder works, right? Swipe. So you'll just swipe, and then you'll be able to vote as an audience. How did you like the project, whether it has potential or not? So, well, you also have a say in here. The reason why we're doing it, you have to put your email and your name in there, because I'm so sure that you also want to get the lineup of the projects later, right? To contact the producers, right? So you want to vote, put your name and the email. We only keep it for those purposes, for nothing else. We promise not to send you trash. So you can actually then vote with Votimo whether the project has potential in your mind or not. All good? Well, let's get started. So I'm going to sit down and try to be less nervous. So the first project starts with you. It's a thriller horror drama called Ubiquitous, and I hope the producer, Pablo Bobadilla, is with us. Pablo? Yes, Pablo, please. The microphone is there, and you have 4 minutes. Pablo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pablo Bobadilla, and my film is called Ubiquitous. And for a lot of us, the last few years have been very tough on us because of the pandemic. I mean, you guys can agree with that. And one of the things that has helped us navigate and overcome this is technology. And that's kind of what my project is about. Basically, technology is a wonderful tool that we can apply into our lives in many ways. But at the same time, how do we achieve a balance? How do we maintain our mental health while doing that? And so, that's kind of what the themes are for the film. And I'll start with the idea for the film. So basically, we have our family, the Barros family, and this is their plight. This family is living in an idyllic and innovative town in search of a new beginning. But soon after, a dark force tears the family apart. And so you've got, who is this family? You've got Sophia, who's a 40-year-old and the pillar of the family. You've got Ben, a quirky entrepreneur. You've got Victoria, who's a 16-year-old daughter who is a talented photographer but deals with low self-esteem issues. And then you have, lastly, Mateo, their 5-year-old son, who's imaginative. And so this family is basically, dealing with these issues where there's a dark and supernatural force that has embedded the technology and is influencing their behaviors and affecting their mental health. And so Sophia soon realizes that not all is perfect in this community, and she has to get to the source in order to save her family. And with that said, I want to stress that this is not a story about technology being bad. This is a story about technology doing really great things or really bad things, depending on who's using it. And so at the same time, our project is basically finished development, and we're entering into the pre-production phase right now. And so what we've been doing is our script has been getting attention at international film festivals and screenwriting competitions. The script recently won an award at the Big Apple Film Festival. It was a semi-finalist for the Blue Cat screenplay competition. And it was selected as a top 10 finalist at Mammoth Lake's Film Festival. With that said, we are now looking to secure financing and trying to attach named talent to the film. And so basically, this film, we really think that it is extremely relevant these days because not only does it deal with the family that a lot of people can relate to. You can relate to Sophia, Ben, or the children and their challenges. But at the same time, it deals with themes of technology and mental health and finding that balance. So we think that's extremely relatable topic right now, and we think that it has a potential for financial success. Thank you.
Thank you, Pablo. All right, so let's see what artificial intelligence has to say.
Yeah, let me go to that side. So that will be a bit longer than 1 minute, the first one, to just tell what these graphs mean. The first graph you see on this top left, this shows the genre mapping of the film. And each color represents a different genre. We can see the change of the film actually over the story, because the comedy drama patterns are strong at the start, but later we have these thriller and horror patterns that are picking up towards the end of the film. And we see these peak and valleys that are very important, that actually indicates the plot points of the film. So that's the content part. And quickly, character relationships. Here you see the relationships of all characters. The bigger circles mean more important characters. And we have the casting selected that an AI match. We can see that AI is finding a good match rates. That means less risk for the selected actors. And finally, we have financial forecasts on the right, that you see the system predicts a most expected revenue for box office. That's for US, 5.4 million for this film. And it shows also risk intervals, low case, high case. And we have also gross return on investment prediction, which is 610% for all. That includes both domestic and international sales.
So Sami, what would you say is according to AI, the success ratio of this film getting made? By average.
For positive return on investment, it's pretty low, especially for independent production. For studios, it's around 60%. Once we come to independent production, it comes around 30, 40, and sometimes even lower, depending on the country.
So, well, thank you for voting on Votemo. 67% of people say, yes, this film can be successful. So please have some meetings with Pablo. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next project, please. So from genre films, we are actually going to docu-series. Our next project is Shaping Water, and Shaping Waves, excuse me. Last night, you know, when you don't get tickets in Cannes, what you do, right? Watch television, Shape of Water on. Good way to enjoy. Well, Antonio Cellotto, the floor is yours, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Cellotto, and as you can see, I'm obviously Scandinavian. Yeah, I can see, like, no, sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, of course, I'm Italian. This is Bolivian. This is a Bolivian instrument that, as you can see, resembles a guitar. And in fact, the Bolivian people, they tried to re-emulate the Spanish instrument because, I mean, they didn't have the tools, so they took an armadillo and put it in the back, put some string on top, and this is a wooden version of it because we didn't want to deal with the hair regrowth, because that's what happens with those. But yeah, so what does it mean? There is a guy in Bolivia that every morning wakes up, like me when I was 4, with this vision of the guitar. We chase this thing, and if you think about it, it's not even part of our original culture. Like, it's not ancestrally Italian or something like that. It's been introduced, and this is what music does. Music goes like a river between cultures and unify them, or in a less direct way, it can happen that I was 2 weeks ago in Gabon shooting a teaser. Actually shooting a casting, which we're using as a little bit of a teaser. But we interviewed this person that they do this ritual the last 12 hours where they put like this intense beat with altered state of mind with Iboga. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Iboga. It's a psychotropic medicine. So this intense work becomes a ritual, and they are speaking with spirits in order to have revelation about life and things like that. Believe it or not, this ritual is happening all over the world, and I am sure that if any one of you has ever been to a techno minimal club or psytrance, anyone? So you were in a ritual. You weren't probably aware of it, but you were dealing with your own spirituality, with this intense search for trance, this introspection, and that's what we're going to do. If you put these people from Gabon with people from Berlin in the same room and they have a conversation, you realize that they, once you eliminate the cultural element, they're going to share humanity. They're going to talk about their shared humanity. And this is what Shaping Waves is about. Shaping Waves is a documentary series that is going to talk about the share of humanities of rituals all over the world. It's story is going to tell the story of 3 musicians for different themes for each episode, and it's 8 episodes for 24 different cultures. And if you wonder how we're going to pull this off, we already have a team, a small international team made of finance expert from Oxford, PhD. We have prize-winning producer, filmmaker, writers, and musician. So we already realized when we shot in Gabon this casting that we have an incredible access, because altogether we speak like 9 languages. We cover like a couple of continents, I don't know how many countries actually. But when we went there, we were visited on set, both on set and at the airport, by the Minister of Culture, because they wanted to be clear that they love to be represented into this project. Because we're talking about shared humanity. We're talking about us, every one of us. So now, what do we need? We need broadcaster, investors, co-producers, and distributors. And again, my name is Antonio Celotto, and this is Shaping Waves. Through music, we understand humans, and through humans, we understand music. Thank you.
Thank you. Votamo says that 80% of the people think this film will get made. Sami.
Yeah, let's look at AI results. So one thing about documentaries is they are more challenging for AI because most of them are not scripted. This one, we have a script, but still you don't have everything like regular scripts, like you don't have the dialogues. But still we can see some interesting results. Here we have again the character relationships, the important characters inside the film. And obviously box office forecasts is not a relevant thing for documentaries, but we have streaming forecasts. Here you see the system is predicting 1.5 million households that can watch this film at the first month of release in US. And again, you see worst case, best case scenarios in terms of risk assessment.
Thank you, Sami. From docuseries, we go to drama productions. Our next project is mainly Chang the Good. And with us, we have producer Rama Benamuel Madani. Please.
Hello. Well, my language is French, so I'm going to read. It's better for me. I think it's okay like that. So the project is, the title is Meli Chang, The Good Life. Not the good, but the good life. And Meli Chang is not a real town. The subject is the vulnerability of a man, Moulay, who seems to have lost his mind after a love affair. The vulnerability of migrants, through his narration, who are victims of all kinds of trafficking and betrayal once on the ground of Meli Chang, makes that sometimes this is the only way out. Where Meli Chang is a dreamy film, a multilingual film. This film will appeal to many different people. It is a love story, even though it is about immigrant women in Meli Chang. It is an action film, a love story, and political drama. The story is about a man who lives in the desert and works as a tour guide. When he meets Miriam, we don't know if she is an hallucination or a real person because he drinks too much. Through Miriam, the man tells us his love story with an illegal migrant from Meli Chang. He is an unreliable narrator. Moulay has a dilemma. He is in love with Liliane, immigrant dancer at Ben's Cafe. There, he is approached by an inspector and his boss, who are investigating illegal immigrants. They offer him a deal. If he denounces other illegal immigrants, they will not arrest his lover. Moulay gives them another illegal migrant, Lanchan, who is in love with Ben. Two love stories intertwine, Moulay and Liliane, Ben and Lanchan. Well, I'm the producer, but also the author and director. My colleague Kevin is here with me, and we are looking for financiers and distributors. We need to shoot this film in English mainly and other languages. Secondly, I'm still looking for the female lead, Asian actors. What we have a partner in Morocco and Lithuania, and especially after our presentation at Berlinale with Largo, thanks to there, we have a new partner, Xexito Films, based in Madrid, who brings us half of our budget in rebate tax, since we decide to shoot in the Canary Islands with local technicians. We need to find the first million to start shooting. Well, the casting is Saïd Tagmaoui. He's from Morocco, from French and American too. And Michel Yeo, he's the main actor as Moulet. Michel Yeo is the main actress. Also, in the story, there is four main actors, four main characters. So I chose Yubai Zhang. He's my friend. She's still in the beginning of the story. She is from Chinese and French actress. And Sami Nassiri, I think you know him because he's a famous actor of
Rama,
film
you have
Taxi.
1 minute.
And thanks to the film Taxi, he's well known. So I'm finished.
Super. Thank you very much. All right, Sami, what does the AI analysis say about this?
Yeah,
project?
if you look at AI results here, we can see the content is heavily drama, but the waves are rather smaller, so it indicates it's a slower pace film, and we have a very complicated character relationships. That means we have many important characters in the film, and if you look at the AI match rates for the casting, they are moderate for Sami Nassiri. It's a very good match rate. And finally, the forecasts. Italian box office, the system is predicting with 2.7 million box office. And for international potential, overall it sees a 390% return on investment.
So thank you again to Rama. Rama, I think you need to little bit improve your pitching. Producers in the whole not so convinced. A bit more the average. Well, let's go to the next project. Well, what could be a pitching session without science fiction? Electric Child, Judith Lichtneckert, please.
Okay. Hello, thank you very much for inviting us. I'm here with Lapini. She's producer from 8 Horses. So, Electric Child is an elevated sci-fi drama about the challenges and risks we take by developing artificial intelligence. Sorry for that, Sami, but that's the topic of the film. We're reshooting in English. So, the film starts with the birth of Sonny and Akiko's baby boy. At the same time, Sonny is celebrating a breakthrough in his scientific research. He places an AI being onto a beautiful island within a game environment. The being is starting to develop his humanoid skills there. So Sonny's world is just perfect. He is a happy father of a beautiful baby, and he is at the peak of his career, being the creator of the AI being. But one day, Sonny's baby boy is diagnosed a deadly disease. While his wife Akiko decides to make the most of her time she's got left with her son, Sonny starts to search for a cure with the help of the AI. Dangerous. So soon, however, he becomes more and more desperate, and he begins to ignore the safety measurements that shield his experiment. Eventually, he decides to take the risk to cross the fateful border, and the world is facing the apocalypse. The AI, however, manages to save the baby, and we see him bringing up the baby on his island in the artificial world. So Electric Child is going to be a very colorful film combining genre cinema and manga. The scenes inside the game are not going to be animated, but we will shoot them as live action on a beautiful island on the Philippines. This will give us a huge contrast to the rather technical world in which Sonny is moving in his research area. The writer and director of the film is Simon Jacquemet, one of Switzerland's most promising talents. His first feature film, War, premiered at the San Sebastian International Film Festival in 2014 and won multiple awards, amongst others the Max Ophüls Award for Best Feature Film. His second feature, The Innocent, premiered at the platform section in the Toronto International Film Festival in 2018, followed by San Sebastian's official selection.
About the casting, the lead actors are Elliot Crosset-Hove, European Shooting Star 2019, Best Actor winner at the Locarno Film Festival in 2017, who is starring in this year's Un Certain Regard film, Godland by Linur Palmason. Then we have a Japanese actress, Rila Fukushima. She was acting in several blockbusters as Ghost in a Shell and The Wolverine. And we have also the upcoming young Sandra Camp, who was already twice in Cannes, one with a short film in the soil that won the Palme d'Or. Our film is a co-production between Switzerland, Germany, and Netherlands.
1 minute.
We are going to shoot very, very soon, in 3 weeks' time. We have 90% of the budget is secured, but we are still looking for financial partner, distributors, and word sales. What is very important to say is that Electric Child is a character-driven film. We follow our main protagonist, Sonny. We share with him his crushing and devastating feeling of losing a child. We follow the dilemma that he's going through, and this will make the film very relatable and emotionally engaging for a very large worldwide audience.
Super, the time is up. Thank you.
So we hope you enjoy.
So, well, audience in the hall thinks that if you raise 90% of your budget, you have 92% of making the film happen. Sami.
Yeah. So the content part, AI very much agrees with the genre of the film that is indicated by producers. You see, it sees a lot of sci-fi patterns inside the film. And also it has a very nice structure. You have these waves. Again, as I mentioned, these are very much relevant with the plot points of the film. And casting, I think that's some part that AI is a bit doubting. For example, for Sonny, the main character, Elliot Crosset, it gives 68% match, but for the actress, Akiko, we have 94%. So finally, the financial forecasts, we have forecasts, Germany forecasts, box office forecast. It predicts 1.4 million. I think it's a good result because it has limited release. For that, it indicates a good result. And overall, for the international return, it predicts 250% return on investment.
Super. Thank you, Sami. Well, applause. Our next project is called Mona Lisa. It's about comedy and adventure. And with us, we have producer Carole de Lille. Right? Oh, pardon.
Thank you, Largo. Thank you, Next, for this opportunity. All of you have heard of the Mona Lisa. Did you know that there are 3 authenticated versions of the Mona Lisa that are made by the master? There are also experts that believe that there's a 4th, and our movie is about the 4th. We begin at the Hermitage with Titov, who is giving a lavish party at the Da Vinci room at the Hermitage. He espouses the beauty of all the paintings, but the journalists are there to quickly mock the fact that most of the paintings there are copies. Embarrassed, he calls his curator and one of his oligarchs to come and go out and find all the best Da Vinci's by hook or by crook and bring them back to Mother Russia. Back in Paris, there's the commandant of antiquities, Madame Hubert, and she believes that there is an auction coming up that has a painting that is another Mona Lisa. There is also a woman there, Madame Goldstein, who believes that that painting is one that was stolen from her from the Nazis. And so she would like that to be recuperated. They go to the Dahlias and they try to stop that auction, but they can't. But she does meet a very, very famous curator and appraiser, if you can imagine Roberto Benigni, and he tries to tell her that he also believes that that's a Da Vinci. The rest is a movie where we see this auction and we have a German crypto NFT winner who wins the painting. Is it a real or is it not? The rest of the movie is action-filled, heist movie, and you'll reveal the dirty secrets of the art world and the nefarious people in it. You will travel to Paris and the chateaux of France and Lago di Como. And you will join, Hubert and Ricci will join forces and unlock the secrets of the Mona Lisa. It's very reminiscent of the classic What's Up, Doc?, the Thomas Crown Affair, and Ocean's 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Why Mona Lisa? Why now? NFTs are selling for millions. The Salvador Mundi that came from New Orleans was sold for $10,000 and now is going up for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Audiences are always fascinated by the high-stakes world of the art world. About us, we're Media Fusion, and we have partnered with Serene Productions in France to produce this. And we recently produced Dollyland with Ben Kingsley and Ezra Miller, and The Security of Fear with Brad Dourif and Billy Baldwin. We're looking for partners, distributors for this, and we'd appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you after this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So 80% of people think that Mona Lisa has potential. What does AI say?
So if you look at the content patterns, one thing particular that I can recognize, the level of action is increasing, and increasing towards the end of the film. That's something particular that I can see. And we have dynamic character relationships, as we can see. Nicole and Igor are main characters, although the AI is not fully confident for the selected cast, if you look at the match rates. And in terms of predictions, it predicts 12 million box office result for US and over 900% return on investment for gross sales.
Thank you. We continue with another science fiction project. It's called Guinea Pig, and with us we have pitching producer Hugues Gentilio.
My name is Hugues Gentillon. I am the producer behind this film. Guinea Pig is a sci-fi film. It's about a complex disease created by Dr. Zin from an alien virus. And then the protagonist will go after an experience, more after a research subject to kidnap him. And then we will try to get the DNA sample from that subject. The film is, I can say that it's nearly financed. What I need to find is a distributor. We have private equity investors who are interested, but they also want us to find a distributor. Pretty much that's what the film is about. Thank you.
Super, thank you very much. I just remind the audience that if you use Votemo and scan the QR code, then, as I said, everyone will get the whole dossier of the projects. They have all synopses, details, budgeting details, and etc., which you can do your dive in later. Sami, what does AI say?
Yeah, so action and sci-fi patterns, we can see they are very strong in the film. And then if we look at the casting, we don't have AI results because that means it's not confident about those, especially for no-name actors and actors with small, little background in feature films. It prefers not to give an opinion. But if you look at the financial results, we have a very promising results over here. It is a really great potential in the film. For US box office, it predicts 74 million box office result, which is a very high return on investment also for international gross box office, which is over 2,000% return.
So here's a really interesting thing. Sami and his team are available later. AI says 2,746% of gross return of investment predicted. You audience predict that only 10% agree to make the film. Who will be right? Let's see. All right, let's go to the next project. Our next project is called Little Europe. It's a applause. It's a war thriller and a historical film, and with us we have producer Sabella Suga. Perfect.
Bonjour, I'm Sabella Sugar from Ultra Films Australia. We are delighted to have Little Europe selected as the only Australian project for Largo AI's pitching submissions. Little Europe is a Cold War spy thriller and drama based on true events that occurred at the refugee camp in Bonegilla, a small country town on the border of Victoria, Australia. Set in 1952, a spy from Australia's security intelligence organisation, ASIO, is killed by a Russian assassin who steals plans for Operation Hurricane, Britain's first atomic bomb test scheduled to take place in Australia. ASIO's Director General recruits Italian-Australian Constable Joe Rossi to pose as a new arrival at the Bonegilla camp. His mission, to identify key communist agitators. When Joe arrives, the migrants are suspicious of him, and he struggles to assimilate. He enters the murky waters of espionage and grows uncertain of who he can really trust. Bonegilla resembles a concentration camp. Joe discovers ex-Nazis working there, and that the migrants are suffering from isolation, malnutrition, unemployment, and debt, leading to suicide. He also realises Cynthia, the block supervisor, is a Soviet spy, and in terms of film references, also the bad conditions culminate in the infamous Bonegilla riots, which happened in 1952. Joe joins the migrants in solidarity and arrests Cynthia, but the Director General has other ideas. Award-winning filmmaker and co-writer Franco Di Chiara will direct, and in terms of film references, he was inspired by the visual style of Sidney Lumet's films, which were often thrillers or suspense genres, focusing in confined spaces, claustrophobic, like a pressure cooker, with the character fighting the system against the odds and saying a lot about society at the time. We're excited to confirm George Lazenby, who played James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, to play the Director General in the film. And one of Australia's most well-known actors, Vince Colosimo, who starred alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in Body of Lies and The Great Gatsby for the role of Constable Joe Rossi. Hollywood actress Isabel Lucas, known for The Immortals and Transformers, and Red Dawn, opposite Chris Hemsworth, will play the role of Cynthia, the Soviet spy. Why are we driven to make this project now? This year's the 75th anniversary since Bonegilla's inception. Remarkably, today 1 in 4 Australians have family ties to this story, and it will appeal to a wide audience. Over 350,000 refugees went through the camp over 24 years. In fact, my Italian grandparents came as refugees in 1950 and were processed there. Writer Jason Agius' grandfather was also sent there, and Jason based the screenplay on some of his experiences. Sadly, 200 migrants committed suicide at the camp, giving this film a strong resonance with today's asylum seekers in detention around the world. With the new Cold War in Russia and Ukraine, we want to tell this story, hopeful that perhaps society can do more to stop history repeating the same lack of care for our fellow mankind. Thank you for your time. I hope you consider Little Europe worthy of your support.
Thank you very much. Votemo shows that 83% people in the hall think this film has potential. Sami.
Yeah, the film is from Australia, and actually the waves you see here is kind of like from Australia as well. We have very sharp waves, perfect for the film, because the one thing, as I mentioned again, these peak and valleys that indicates the plot points of the films, and if you have these sharp peaks, that means that plot points are very strong and will be very obvious for the audience as well. We can see this is a strong protagonist-driven film. From the character relationships, we have one big circle and many other characters around that circle. And AI finds a really moderate to good match for the actors. And financial forecasts for Australia box office, it predicts 8.9 million, which is very good. And overall for international sales, it predicts over 800% return on investment.
Interesting. Thank you, Sami. The next project is applause, yes. We are exactly halfway through, so let's keep up the energy and go from there. So our next project is a drama film. It's called Two Hues. And with us, we have producer William Williams.
Hello, everyone. My name is William Williams. I'm a writer, actor, and producer from South Africa, and my film is set in Cape Town, South Africa. Two Hues is a film about Fatima, her best friend Lungi, and her family. Fatima is a bipolar photographer, and she's a silent victim of rape. The film's title, Two Hues, refers to her two opposite moods. So it's the red, pink manic highs and the deep, dark blue downward spirals. And this is a common thread throughout the film. Fatima is from a Muslim family in Cape Town, the Cape Malay community, and is pressured by her family to marry and wear hijab because she's of age to marry. In the workplace, she works as entry-level photographer inside an advertising agency and is exposed to a great degree of sexism because in the advertising industry, women's bodies are obviously commercialized. And so there's a juxtaposition throughout the film with the two worlds of patriarchy as it plays out until the character is pushed to the edge and the lines between art and rationality is blurred. She is institutionalized and undergoes ECT treatment. Some of the scenes are set during the hard lockdown when women around the world faced their darkest hours. Fatima is a part of a socio-political movement called the Shutdown Movement in South Africa, which is an anti-gender-based violence movement. South Africa is the country with the highest femicide rate in the world, and 1 in 4 women are victims of rape. In terms of financing, I've managed to secure some private investment into the film. We are able to secure 50% of our budget through the tax rebate in South Africa. I'm looking for co-production opportunities, additional financing, and distribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 75% of the audience thinks the film has potential. Sami.
Yeah, in content patterns, we see towards the end some thriller and horror elements are adding up. And if you look at the character relationships, we can see that Fatima is the most important character in the story. And AI, again, is not giving an opinion about the cast. In that scenario, again, if it's not sure, it doesn't tell anything. Again, AI can predict according to the past performances of these actor actresses. If it doesn't have enough data, that it doesn't tell anything. For the financial forecasts, so that part is interesting. Again, it shows a very high return on investment. And one thing just I want to note that here is the following. So such return on investments is only possible with very small budgets. And we have patterns of that in the past. If AI is seeing similar patterns of the content and overall packaging, it shows that potential. But of course, this has to be supported with the right distributor, P&A budget to realize that.
So strong author-driven films can have huge potential.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Applause, please. We now take a turn to genre films again. Our next project is Lesser Evil. With us, the producer, David Barrera.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. I am David Barrera, CEO and executive producer at Minded, and the main producer of Lesser Evil, which I'm happy to present to you. Here is also Manuel Carballo, a dear friend and director and screenwriter of the film. He has already 3 feature films with a global distribution. He will tell you more about the story.
Hello. As you all know, to make a movie requires a lot of time, a lot of energy. And if I want to spend the next 2 years probably of my life making these movies, because it deals with some of the topics that I have fascinated of my life, which are what are the origins of evil, how it perpetuates itself through time, how often we have to do bad things in order to get or achieve our noble goals, and how all of this changes our perspective of good and evil. To do that, Lesser Evil tells the story of Thomas, a regular man, a good man indeed, who, in order to save his abducted son, is forced to commit some terrible acts that mimics the crimes of an old and famous serial killer. Trying to find out who is behind all this chaos and who has bring the hell to his life, he will uncover some horrible facts about himself and even about his son. Obviously, it's a genre film, a horror thriller, that picks up the mood and the feeling of films like Rosemary's Baby, Repulsion, The Tenant. It is a particular journey to hell and paranoia, which I have to depict it in a powerful and appealing way, mixing a realistic approach with a stylish Roman Polanski's visuals. That Lesser Evil is going to be a psycho killer film as you've never seen before. David?
Thank you. Largo's analysis has confirmed that Lesser Evil, apart from having a strong artistic approach, also has a great commercial potential. Our objective is a wide cinematic release, and you have seen the predicted financials of the Spanish wide release, and with the ideal P&A predicted 42 million in the global box office. We have 65% of the production budget confirmed and looking for investors to cover the last gap. Our goal is to also secure the P&A used in this analysis. We're happy to have some great partners on board this project, such as San Miguel Torrent and Balance Media, as well as Daniel Bauer at KFA International, Bet Entertainment, and Parallax DAO, a DeFi film fund created on the blockchain. We are looking for financiers with the same confidence on this film to complete this finance and move into production. I am at your disposal for any question you may have regarding to Lesser Evil. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. 67% people believe in genre films. Sami, what does AI say?
Yeah, it has really great patterns for the content, actually. If you target mainstream audience, that kind of peaks are really perfect, because we have crime thriller peak and then it cools down. Again, crime thriller peak and then again it cools down. Because having it constant, again, is a way to lose the engagement of the audience. Then, yeah, it has, AI indicates a perfect match rates for the casting. But one thing I want to discuss again is return on investments. Similar to previous film, we see a very high return on investment. That's a horror, low-budget horror film, and most of you know that is a kind of pattern to go to high return on investments, but you cannot go to that obviously with any horror film. But that means AI is seeing good pattern of the content and good packaging, and it feels confident for a good return on investment, again, with the right P&A, right distributor.
Thank you to the team again. We continue in the genre of action and thriller. Our next project is called M Squared. And with us, we have producer Barry Alexander Brown. Barry, please.
Hi. Yeah, I'm the writer and director of the film, and one of the producers. I'm really best known as a film editor. I've been Spike Lee's editor for a very long time, including Black Klansman that won the Grand Prix de Jury here in Canada a few years ago. Then after Black Klansman, I wrote and directed a film called Son of the South, which just opened in a lot of countries in Europe and did pretty well. Opened in France in April. But an idea came to me about an action thriller, and I don't know, I just got excited about it. It's not the kind of thing I usually do, but I don't know, I just wanted to do this. And so as I began to develop the idea and develop the story, I came up with the title of M Squared. I wanted to do a title that wasn't really a title or a word. I wanted to do a graphic that wherever you show this movie, or most places in the world, it is called M Squared. And you don't even know exactly what does this mean, M Squared. M Squared, I mean, we all know what a number squared is, but what is a letter squared? And it stands for a phrase in Latin, which means by force. And then as I developed the story is about a rogue mercenary group that is pulling off very high-level assassinations and robberies. And nobody knows where this group is. And their process is actually to grab incredible fighters from around the world and put them into a team. And actually kind of break them down through torture and build them back up and put them into a team that then pulls off these assassinations. When we pick up the story, they've grabbed the wrong person. They've grabbed an agent who's really been dangled to be grabbed. And his mission really is to be taken to wherever they're operating, nobody knows where, and go through all the stuff that you have to go through, which is torture, and then rebuild the team that they're trying to build to pull off a very high-level assassination, and rebuild it into his own team, and then bring the whole place down from inside. One thing that I began to be concerned about is the main character I want you to like him. I want you to be on his side. I want you to care. Because I've seen films that have incredible, incredible action, but there's times I just don't care. I don't care what happens to the people. He dies or, he dies. So, I thought, okay, my first job is to make you care and to make you care about this team. So that when the incredible action really begins, which is the last really 25 minutes of this movie, I mean, it just goes, you just want them to succeed. And I thought, if I can do that, and I think I have done that as a writer, then you'll be with this movie. It's a very international cast, too. That's one thing I was also very interested in, is having an international cast as an ensemble piece, really, so that this film can be familiar everywhere around the world. And also, I find it more interesting to deal with people from all kinds of places. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Barry. 83% of people think M Squared has potential. Sami.
Yeah, the genre was indicated as action thriller, and actually we can see that these orange and turquoise colors, they are very dominant on our genre prediction. And character relationships, you see there is a very complicated relationship map, but we can see that it is a protagonist-driven. We have one big circle and many small circles around. And the casting matches are really great. That's something to note. But one thing that is different in that film compared to other films is a higher budget film. It's 22 million, but the AI, yeah, it still sees a really good return on investment case, 785%. And one thing again to add over here, I think this cut of the percentage for return on investment is quite different in US and Europe, because in Europe we have soft money model. In US, that we know that many studios considers like 500% as a cut point to greenlight the project, which is a good case for this project as we are over that.
And our vote from audience thinks that as well. Big applause to Barry again. Our next project is called Condicional. It's a comedy, and with us we have producer Francisco.
Hello, everybody. Very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us. And we're still very surprised that they have this machine that can read our script and make this funny-looking graphics that say something about what the film is about. So we're really interested in working more with Largo in the future.
4 minutes.
So there's no teenagers here, but I can tell you that today, being a teenager is a very, very difficult thing. You know, going to school is almost like an odyssey. You not only have to deal with the cruelty of bullying, but you also have to try to find your own identity in a place which is full of many different and radical claims. If you don't want to be rejected by people, you really have to study hard. But you don't have to study what the school is teaching you. You have to study about the differences between being a vegetarian or a veganist or a raw veganist or a anarcho-primitivist or an anarcho-pet primitivist, and many more of those. And you should be willing to die for any of those causes. But Esteban, our 16-year-old character, who is the main character of the film, he's more old school. You know, he's just interested in having fun and having a sexual life. So this is a little bit of hell for him, and he decides to go into politics and run for president of the school student council. No? But he only has like one idea for the campaign, which is not precisely a very good idea. He wants to organize a furry convention. You know, that's furry people, which is especially like a bunch of people who are dressed in furry animal costumes.
Hi. Well, Condicional is a high school comedy by Álvaro Díaz. He's the creator of 31 Minutos. It's the most successful TV children in Chile. It's a multi-award-winning puppet show, actually, broadcast on Netflix, Cartoon Network, a dozen of countries, from which 5 rock and roll albums have been released, with live musical shows and video clips with more than 500 million of visits in the internet. So the most typical brand of 31 Minutos is an absurd but an intelligent humor, which appeals to a different type of public. And Condicional with the school children dressed like animals, dealing with crazy hormones and radical ideas, has a very similar signature.
We are Juntos Films from Chile, and at Juntos Films, we have one goal: to produce films in different cinematographic genres, with the intention of connecting with wide audiences, always passing, perhaps in the form of contraband, a reflection on reality. In 2021, we premiered a thriller. This year, we will film a Western, and Condicional will be our first comedy. Condicional is currently in development. It has a very funny script, really, really funny. Public financing from Chile, and a co-production with Mexico. We want to find partners in Europe, especially Spain, and we also want an international cast and make a comedy with international possibilities. Thank you so much.
So, what does AI show?
Yeah, here we see the comedy as a strong element. Over here we have the comedy peak and valleys over here. And you see the character relationships. Again, we have a protagonist-driven structure over here. And one thing interesting about this film is a film from Chile, so that Latin America is an important market. Spain becomes an important market. For Spain, we see the system is already predicting a very good return, like 5.5 million box office forecast, and overall 720% return on investment in the international results.
Super. Applause again to Team Condicional. We are now moving into the very last leg of this session. We have 4 more projects to go. Our next project is called Commander Frank. It's drama and comedy. It comes from Scandinavia, and we have with us producer Ole Andre Ronneberg. Ole.
At the end of the world, there is a very tiny island where there's only 10 people living. And all of them are aging except for Frank. Frank, he's 27 years old and is living with his mother on this tiny island. He has never taken a ferry by himself. And as his day job, he's driving around on a motorized cooler. And he's wearing a space helmet for safety and to prevent human interactions. Frank, he is, he's never left this island by himself, and now his mother has to leave him. And on this island, there is another woman dying, and that kind of, yes, Yes, and that makes Ellen comes to the island, which is in the same age as Frank, in the funeral for her grandmother. And they are the opposite. She left the island on the first ferry as she could, but Frank, he remained there his whole life. And when she's coming back, they have to kind of battle each other in a way, because she left the island and never looked back and wanted to go away, but Frank never dared to do this. But I'm sorry. When the setting of this is in 2008, that's the beginning of the smartphone area, and that's when the social media just started to getting big. And Frank is interacting with these social medias by recommendation of Ellen, and there he finds a sci-fi forum where he kind of posts a picture from the universe that he's taking, and yes, and this picture goes viral, and people is starting to look at it on this forum, and some of the alien hunters also on this forum is coming to this island to see what Frank is taking pictures of. So this story is a late coming of age. It follows Frank, who's been his whole life in this very secure mode. And I think this is the right time for a film like this, because we are in a post-COVID digital world where people is staying at home, we're preventing interaction with each other, and this really could have been me if I didn't take the step out of this island. And we have a very good international crew in the key crew members on this project, and we're getting there. We're getting ready for the shooting. We have a script. We have some financials. We also have local investment in the film, and yes, we're about to take the ferry off this island and getting into the world.
Super. Thank you, Ola. 86% of people are thinking the film can be made.
Okay, so I think it's a good example to look at this film as well, because it's different than the other films in terms of budget. For example, it is very small budget film, 0.5 million, and I want to mention something just at that point, because we get these questions a lot. Is AI only for big budget movies? The answer is no. That's one example. And the other thing, if it's AI only for Hollywood films, again, the answer is no. So this is a great example because it's a film from Norway, a small budget film, but still AI can tell something because it has past data, it has learned from past data, and it can give still some confident predictions. So good match rate for the casting. For the box office predictions, we have Norway prediction, 1.2 million for box office, and overall for international gross box office, it predicts 280% return on investment.
Super. Thank you again for Commander Frank. Now we move to the last three projects. Our next project is in Arcadia. It's a drama and thriller, and we have with us writer-director Daniel Florencio.
First, thank you for having us here. I'm the writer-director and came from a background of documentaries and advertising, and this is our second feature film. I made films, and this project is being done in partnership with Tanweer Productions from Greece, which you might know, they're part of Tanweer Alliance, which is international distributor. So we are in 1970s Greece, and this is an isolated village in the mountains in the Peloponnese. This village doesn't have any access to television or radio. The only means of communication are the loudspeakers that every morning broadcast a selection of news. These news are selected by a retired British colonel that settled the area after the Greek Civil War. One day, word spread in the village that a British engineer is arriving to conduct some business in the village. And they think he's a friend of the colonel. When the engineer arrives, the villagers are surprised that he's brown and speaks with an accent. They were expecting a white British person. And he's accompanied by his local partner, a female engineer called Joanna. And they are also surprised because it's 1970s Greece. And, well, they weren't really, they didn't expect women to be engineers. So they start their work, and they basically building a telephone tower that's going to bring phone lines to the village. At the same time they start their work, the loudspeakers start broadcasting rumors that there's a bribery scheme involving the phone company and engineers from the phone company. From that point, the villagers start getting very hostile towards the engineers. Later on, there's an earthquake in the region, and the only bridge that was the only access to the town collapses. So the village is now inaccessible, and the engineers are isolated. A girl disappears in the village. She's found later on, unconscious and beaten up. The villagers immediately think that it's Anand, the engineer, that did this, of course, the outsider. So they chase him. He runs through the alleys of the village trying to escape, but the villagers get him and start beating him up. Joanna comes to his rescue, but she too is beaten up. So both engineers are beaten up and killed at the village. A few days later, the bridge is rebuilt, and a policeman arrives bringing newspapers with him every morning. That's how the villagers realize that the stories they were hearing on the radio were not true. When the bodies are found from the engineers, the police starts investigating who did it. And one by one, the villagers say that who did it was the coronel, even though he didn't lay a finger on the engineers, because the villagers found out that they've been played upon. Just to finish, the cast that you're going to see, they're confirmed. They're attached. One of them is Anthony Jesus that you might know from Deepan, that won the Palme d'Or here in Cannes a few years ago. Victoria Haralabidu, a Greek-Australian actress that latest job that you could see was The Tourists from HBO alongside Jamie Dornan. And that's it. Our producer Nefeli is here, so you can talk to her afterwards. And thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. 75% of the audience thinks film has potential. Sami.
Yeah, so the content patterns, we can see drama and thriller are really the most dominant elements in this movie. And for character relationships, we see something different here because we have two very big circles. That means it's protagonist and antagonist driven movie. And for cast, AI indicates very good match rates. For the box office, we have France prediction. The system is predicting 1.6 million in French box office. And for return on investment in gross box office, we have 444%.
So it seems it's a go. Applause, please. Like Our next project comes from the genre of science fiction, action, and fantasy. It's called Mekala. And with us, we have the producer, Catherine Aboya.
Bonjour tout le monde, ça va? How many of you have gone into a movie theater and watched a superhero film and thought to yourself, you're all excited and charged and ready to go and ready to change the world, and then you leave the movie theater and you go right back to normal life? Right? Now, what would you do if I could tell you that you could take that energy that you experienced and transmute it so you could become a superhero yourself and help to change the world? This is possible. We have an incredible superhero team that are behind this film. When I started this film 5 years ago, I realized that all the cartels that ran this world, this paradigm that we're told that we have to accept, was not right. The soldiers that guard our hearts have to stand down so that we can say we no longer accept poverty, war, and the fear that's fed down our throats 24/7. The domination, the separation, the control. Every single one of you in here is a lion and a lioness that needs to prowl this earth and show the world what you came here for. The mission that was implanted in you before you even came. Once we connect to this energy, this godlike force within us, we can create change that spreads across the entire universe, changing timelines, space. This is the power that we have within us. How are we going to do this? I have my colleague Jerry Sargent with me here in the first row. He was arrested in the UK for teaching people how to cure cancer because Big Pharma, they don't want us to be healthy. We want to show you in the film how you can actually heal and cure yourself. We have ley lines, sacred geometry, stargates, and these discs that were found at the bottom of Lake Titicaca and 12 other places around the world that teach you how to travel inter- and multidimensionally. The sound design of the film using healing hertz frequencies, solfeggio tunes, will help you to activate your latent DNA superpowers. And you are the prayers of your ancestors. The fact that we're all here in this room today, right now, means that we've come here for a reason. We've come here to be happy, to spread joy, to spread love. Once we're able to, we're electromagnetic beings. Once we're able to share this love, the happiest people I've met so far are the group from Pakistan. They came and we saw them in the street. I said, "What's your agenda at the festival?" They said, "Happiness. Our agenda is happiness." There is one thing that AI can't predict. With the film Rocky, we had a film that was $1 million budget in 1970. It grossed $225 million worldwide. Why? Because he was an underdog. This entire project has been an underdog since day one. We have cast members that people hadn't necessarily heard of, but their soul signature is peerless. When you see them on screen, it's going to activate something in each and every one of you, and you're going to remember just how powerful you truly are and why you came here in this lifetime.
1 minute.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank the government in Bolivia, Redi Belido, el Ministerio de Cultura, por su tiempo, apoyo, sabiduría y confianza en este proyecto. If you'd like to see how this energy manipulation works in real time, Jerry and I will be available afterwards, and anyone who wants to receive one of these healings can be a guinea pig.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Sami, challenges. 83% people say film has potential.
Very strong entrance. We have sci-fi, action, thriller patterns. And then very strong end as well. We have another pick over there. Although I cannot decide if it's a happy ending, sad ending, we have a bit of comedy and crime pattern over there, which is conflicting. So it's difficult to tell looking at that pattern. We see the Mekala is the protagonist, that all other characters are around that with smaller relationships. And for box office, it predicts 5.9 million for UK. And overall, it predicts 467% return on investment.
Thank you, Sami. And applause to the team. And hold and behold, we get to the last project. The last project is called MENA. And with us, we have producer Francisco Carrasco. Francisco.
Hello. MENA is a story that takes place in Madrid in present time, and it tells the story of Adam. He's a North African Moroccan boy, 17 years old, who comes to Madrid to Spain for a future, but instead he gets caught up in the system and just becomes another nameless MENA. MENA, aside from the territory, is also the Spanish acronym for unaccompanied foreign minors. And more than that, MENA is also a stigma. Adam wants to be a gym teacher, and instead he gets stuck into a center months before his 18th birthday. So in the center, he will meet other kids his age and in his similar situation, but some of them will be troublesome and will take him into the bad way. At the MENA Center, Adam will also meet Carla. She's a young, optimistic, and social worker, but she's very inexperienced and she still believes in social justice. So she will try to fight for Aram and get him to fulfill his dream, even if that means she'll have to confront her colleagues and the system. Adam will meet a lot of good people who will try to help him, and he will meet a lot of scared people who will act violently against him. There's a football game at the center, and Mena and his friend Baraka try to escape. A guard gets hurt in the way, and they're caught by the police. They're put through a test to determine whether they are actually underage or they've been lying all along. And the test results conclude that they were actually lying and that they are overaged. So they're kicked out of the center the very next day. It's television morning shows start talking about this. There are demonstrations that start spreading the fear, and some violent right-wing extremist groups also come looking for Adam to get their pound of flesh. So
1 minute?
Yes, thank you. Mena is it's a film. It's a first-time director. He brought me the script, and it was very well written. He's on version 3. He's worked. This would be his debut feature. He's been working for companies like Good Mood and Diagonal in Spain. He's definitely an emerging talent. He was selected last year for Sky Writing Feature Lab. And the story of Mena is basically the story of the demonization of the other, the otherness. When these otherness are children, that's when, what do you do with that? This is a very different coming-of-age story. Kids' jobs are to fuck up, and our job as adults are to help them and guide them, no matter where they come from. We're looking for partners to help us further develop this project. It's still in very early stages. We're looking for, pre-sales might be a bit early, but maybe a co-producer, European, or a hag, maybe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sami.
Yeah, here we see a bit different pattern compared to other films. We don't have too much of these peak and valleys like in the previous films. So that's actually a good example to mention about not having such peak and valleys, because we see this in many art house films. For example, in Dardenne Brothers films, we see like a constant line over these patterns. So it is directly related to pacing of the film. So I think this is also a slow pace film. And also here I want to emphasize AI is not only for working on your project to get maximum return on investment, biggest audience, because we know that there are many films that don't have such targets. There is festival films. So for this film as well, it gives me such indications. Slow-paced film, and also for return on investment is more conservative. It predicts 140%, but that doesn't tell anything about artistic quality. So that's something to note. Yeah.
Thank you, Sami. So this is it. We managed to pull off this first ever Shark Tank pitching session in Cannes. I guess the biggest applause needs to go to the producers who were pitching. So congratulations. Sami, do you want to have some final words about
Firstly,
Largo?
I want to thank you to you, Stan. That was an experimental. and experimental event. I think it went quite well. So thank you very much for bringing this together. And thank you for all presenters. I think it's very courageous coming over here and then presenting their projects together with AI results. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, please contact us if you have, for anybody in the audience, if you are interested for applying AI on your films, just please contact us. Thank you very much.
Last chance to get the Votamo QR code if you want to get those projects delivered to you, which I think you might. Take a picture, grab this, and I hope to see you, some of you perhaps in 1 hour, where we have the Can Next Financing Summit. I think by now the Media Invest initiative of the European Commission should be out. It's an unprecedented equity scheme to European financing. We will be discussing with XYZ, a genre powerhouse, the success behind their films, and we have some other magnificent case studies. I'll see you hopefully here in 1 hour. Thank you to Largo. Thank you to producers. See you at Can Next.